Welcome to my tutorial on how I painted the zombies for Resident Evil the board game by Steamforged Games. I'll walk you through each of the 3 zombie models included with the game, as well as what colors I chose to use and why. I hope this can inspire you to paint your own miniatures. First we prime our model. I used Grey Seer Spray by Citadel. This zombie looks just like this one from the game. I'll be using those colors for this model. After priming, I'll paint one thin layer of Grey Seer all over the model. This will help us with some of the areas the spray did not reach. Make sure it's a nice thin coat so you don't cloud up any details. First, we'll start with the pants. I'm using a color called Curiass Leather by 2 thin coats. This paint can go on a little thin, so let it dry then give it another coat. It's always better to do multiple thin coats than one thick coat and risk clouding details. Once you get all your base coats on, you can come back and tidy up any mistakes. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time around. Next, for their shirt, I'm using a color called Vampire Fang. I noticed this color goes on a little thin, but it'll look better once it dries. You can see a little bit of his collar on his back, so make sure to turn him around and don't miss that. For his jacket, I'm using Wyvern Green. It's a little light right now, but after some shading later on, it will start to darken up. For their skin, I'm using Rakarth flesh. In Resident Evil, these zombies have a more pale or gray skin complexion. The gray from the base coat can show a little bit through the Rakarth flesh and makes a good color combination that I'm happy with. Make sure you get the face, hands, legs, and chest. Next, for some blood effects. I'm using Blood Angel's Red contrast paint. I really like the color and flow of this paint. It's perfect for flowing into the little wound crevices and other gory details, while retaining a nice red color. Here's the part where you can get a little more creative with your color placement. Feel free to add some color to the hands, mouth, feet, etc. Zombies are messy, so it's okay if this part is as well. If you need some ideas for this, there are plenty of great spots to paint. Look for rough spots on the skin or tiny cuts on their clothes. Use your paints to bring out all of those little details. Now for shading. Zombies are dusty, smelly, and dirty, and we're going to use shading to help visualize that. I chose 3 colors to shade to give them all slightly different appearances. This zombie is being shaded with Necrosis green wash. I like to imagine maybe this zombie was outside in the gardens of the mansion. Feel free to choose other shades like I did. I'll show the other colors I chose as we paint the other zombie models. Shades are great because they're easy to apply and help bring so much out of the model. Once they dry, you'll see plenty of little shadows and details you may not have seen before. And here's our first zombie complete. You can always add things like highlights if you want to take it a step further, but for a standard enemy model, this is good enough for my table. Now you just base your model and it's ready to play. I kept it simple and just used Abaddon Black and Mephiston Red. Here you can see all 10 of this zombie type. Various shades and different blood placements help give them a little bit of variety. Now for the next model. I spray and base coat all of the zombies the same way. I couldn't find an image of this particular zombie in-game, but if you've played it, I'm sure you've seen him. I'm painting his jeans with wolf gray. That has a nice denim-like color. Once again, for the shirt, I'm using Vampire Fang. My best guess is these are all various employees of Umbrella wearing somewhat standardized uniforms. Security, scientists, and other staff who were working at the mansion at the time of the incident. Here I'm using a color called Boar Hide. I'm not quite sure if this is supposed to be a vest, a sweater, or just a coat with the sleeves torn off. Either way, be sure to leave the arms to paint with Rakarth flesh. Next up for the hair, I just kept it easy and used Curiass leather again. Feel free to change it up for your own models, of course. Next up for the shading, I'm going to show all three that I use this time. The first one is Battle Mud Wash. This is the one I use for your standard dirty zombie. And here's how that one looks once dried. A nice middle of the road shade for this kind of model. This one is Rattling Grime, a much dirtier color. This zombie must have been in a really dusty corner of the mansion, or maybe down in the caves. And to compare, here's Necrosis Green Wash again. And now for the final type. I think we got the method down, so I'll go a little faster this time. Once again, we're going to use Rakarth flesh for the skin. Now, this is just the way I did it, but these are your models, you can paint them however you wish. For his pants, we're using a color called Dust Bowl, which gives us a nice khaki color. I did the hair the same as the other model. And for the shirt, we're using Vampire Fang one more time. This zombie is the simplest one to paint. With around 4 colors, his base coats are all finished. Now we'll just add the blood and shading the same way we've been doing, and then we'll be all set. And we're all done. 30 easy zombies all set to go. I hope this may have helped you with your own painting. Thanks so much for watching. This is my very first video, so I apologize for any mistakes. If you want to see more content like this, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll keep making videos. Next up will be the Cerberus, so stay tuned and thank you.